Hello, it's me, Tecposolo, and I'm doing a video. It's a very complicated chapter, but I'm trying to bring up Tonacaquauhtitlan, which is the place of the afterlife where young children go. Anyway, when I say Tonacaquauhtitlan, it's the Lord of the near and nigh. It's another word for Tezcatlipoca. It's kind of weird how it starts, so when I read it, you're going to be like, what? But trust me, I'll get to the part where I need to get to. 21st chapter. Here's told the discourse, the manner in which the father, ruler, or nobleman exhorted his son in order to provoke him to chastity. Yes, I know. It gets weirder. Here he said that that they'll befriend, love much those who be abstinent. Many similes and examples are given expression. Very good are the discourses and the many other things which furnish pleasure. And it goes, as speaking here, thou who art my child, thou who art my youth, hear the words, place, inscribe in the chambers of thy heart the word of two which our forefathers be parted, leaving. The old men, the old women, the regarded ones, the admired ones, and the advised ones on earth. Here's is that which they gave us, entrusted to us as they left, the words of the old men, that which is bound, the well-guarded words. They went saying that the pure life is considered a well-smoked, precious turquoise, as a round, reed-like, well-formed, precious green stone. There is no blotch, no blemish. Those perfect in their hearts, in the manner of life, those of pure life, like these are the precious green stone, the precious turquoise, which are glistering, shiny before the Lord of the near, of the nigh. Like them are the precious feathers, the dark green ones, bored, well formed, which arch over the earth. They are those pure life, those called good-hearted. And keeps on going. Heed what the old men went saying, that the children, the youth, the maidens are the real friends, the really beloved of the Lord of the near, of the nigh. They live with him, they rejoice with him, they make give friends of them. Because of this, for this reason, the old men, those especially devoted to the penance and the fasting and the offering of incense, go especially confident in those who are children, youth, and maidens. The students of the old men, their sons, they awaken while it is yet dark, and while they want the pleasure of sleeping, they strip them, they sprinkle them with water. These swept, they offer incense. The women wash the mouths. It is said that the Lord of the near and of the nigh yet heareth, receiveth their weeping, their sorrow, their sighs, their prayers, because it is said they are good of heart, undefiled, still clean, untouched, pure, still true precious green stone, still true precious turquoise. So it is said through them the earth yet endureth. They are entrusters. And then there are the priests, the penitents, for they are those who live in chastity. Clean, good, fine, precious, washed, white are their hearts. And it says white in the Now text, so it's not nothing weird. Their way of life is undefiled, without ordure, without dust, without filth. For this reason they approach. They stand before the Lord of the near, of the nigh. They are offered them incense. They pray to him. They pray to him on behalf of the city. And the ruler nameth them the priest of his Tethel, because of their goodness, their clean life. And the old people, the wise ones, the keepers of the books, go saying that the pure in heart are very precious, those who nowhere find and who rejoice not in vice and filth, those who know it not, are so precious that the gods, or the Thales, require them, seek them, call out to them. He who goeth pure who die in war. They said, the sun cometh, he calls out to him. He lived hard by, nigh until the sun, and valiant warrior. The goeth gladden him, giving cries to him, causing him to rejoice. Always forever he liveth in pleasure, he rejoice, even glad without pain. He sucketh the different flowers, savored ones, the fragrance ones. Very verily he lived in the house of the sun, which is a place of wealth, a place of joy. And such of these who die in war are well honored. They are considered very precious on earth, and they are also very much desired, and they are much envied, so that all people desire, seek, long for this death, for such are much praised. Thus it is said that one who died in war, a small youth who came to die in the war in Mexico, he was an inhabitant of Huexolcinco named Mixcoac. His song is in tone, it is told. And then it goes into a song, but I think it's thou, Mixcoac, merits the song, thou wilt live on earth. Thou wilt live among Huexolcinco drums. Wilt gladden the nobles. Thy friends will behold thee. Here's the reply to this song to give much praise to Mixcoatzin, the small youth who died in war. It said, like fine burnished turquoise thou giveth thy heart. It cometh to the sun. Thou wilt yet germinate, wilt once again blossom on earth. Thou wilt live among Huexolcinco's drum. Wilt gladden the noble. Thy friends will behold thee. And then those who had been drowned, those struck by lightning. The old men went saying that they who are good of heart are struck by lightning because of Tlaloque desire them. They long for them. They take them there in their home, Tlaloclan. They live by the master Xochowilque, he who is provided with rubber, with incense, Tlamacatski, Lord of Tlaloclan. For verily in Tlaloclan, those who enter, those taken, those struck are submerged there. They live in eternal spring, never in their withering, for forever there is sprouting, there is verdure, there is eternally green. And then here are the words that tell those who die prematurely. And this is where I've been wanting to come up to. So it's talking about how, well, before this, it's talking about how you got to be, I guess, innocent, good at heart, have that child quality, to sometimes be accepted in these places with being very humble. And I think I would say that's the best way to describe what the Father's telling the Son. Anyway, let's go here. And then here are the words which tell of those who died prematurely: the tender youth, the tender maidens, the inexperienced, the uninstructed on the earth. To him who went not experiencing, not approaching vice, filth, it is said, our Lord showed bounteous mercy. The tender youth, the tender maidens are like precious bracelets, like precious green stones. And still here is a word to be guarded, to be taken, to be heard. For it is said that the children who die become a precious green stones, as precious turquoise, as precious bracelets. When they die, they go not where there is fearful, the place of sharp winds, the region of the dead. They go there to the home of Tonacaquauhtitlan. They live in the garden of Tonacaquauhtitlan, suck the flowers of Tonacaquauhtitlan, live by the tree of Tonacaquauhtitlan, they suck the flowers. It is not in vain, O my son, that children, babies are buried in front of maize bin, for this signifies that they go to the good place, a fine place, because they are still as precious green stones, still as precious bracelets, still pure, they become as precious turquoise. And here it's still little. The babies, the children are very precious. They are beloved, desired, because they are the clean yet pure ones. They become as precious green stones, as precious bracelets are precious turquoise, precious. Behold are the good, the fine, the good of heart, those worthy of confidence. They are respected, honored. They do nothing reprehensible. They are nowhere reprehensible, and they live in happiness and peace. Nowhere do they spread fear. They live in contentment. And now, O my beloved son, O my youth, take heed if thou art to continue with our Lord a while. Listen to the way in which thou art to live. Thou art not to lust for vice, for filth. Thou art not to take pleasure in the which defiled one, which corrupted one, that which it is said driveth one to excess, which harmeth, destroyeth one. And while it is deadly, so the old men went saying, in childhood and yet tender years, then is when our Lord showeth compassion for one. This is when he distributeth, giveth as one deserveth, the rulership, the governed, valiant warriorhood. And then in the time of childhood and the tender years, at that time the Lord of the near and of the nigh giveth one as merit, joy, and prosperity. And in the time of childhood, still in the time of purity, good death is merited. Take heed, O my son, also such is the condition in the peopling, the replenishing of the world. For the Lord of the near of the nigh hath said, thou art obtained one woman for one man. However, thou art not to ruin thyself impiously. Thou art not to devour, to gulp down the cardinal life as if thou wert a dog. Especially art thou to become courageous, art thou yet to become strong, art thou yet to reach maturity, even as the maguey thou art to form a stalk, thou art to ripen. Then thereby thou wilt become strong as a union, as in the marriage. Thy children will be rugged, agile, and they will be polished, beautiful, clean. And well wilt thou enter into the mundane life, the cardinal life, in the cardinal life. Thou wilt he be rugged, strong, swift, diligent, while thou be. And if thou ruinest, thou impious, if too soon thou seductest, thou discoverest women in earth. Verily the old men went saying, thou wilt interrupt thou development, thou wilt be stunned, thou tongue be white, thy mouth will become swollen, puffed, thou wilt go tasting thou nasal mucus, thou wilt be pale, thou wilt go pale on earth, thou nasal mucus will go dripping, thou wilt go coughing, thou wilt be enfeebled, weakened, emasculated. Thou wilt become a cuff of hair. Possibly already thou wilt linger a short time on earth, very soon to be old and wrinkled. And thou art the bored maguey, thou art as the maguey. Soon thou wilt cease to give forth liquid. Perhaps it is so with thee, a man, when already thou consume themselves, when thou canst no longer say anything, no longer do anything due to thy spouse. Soon she hateth thee, soon she detesteth thee, for verily thou servest her. Perhaps present there arisen her desire. She longeth for the cardinal relations which thou owest thou spouse. Already thou art finished, thou hast completed all. Perhaps thou art incapable. She will ignore thee, and she will betray thee. Verily thou hast ruined thyself, and persistently thou hast consumed thyself. Heed yet, may thou in good time reach manhood. Thou art not to ruin thyself impetuously, although she is thy spouse, thou body, when thou wilt live with her. When thou wilt know her, it is as with food, which thou art not to eat hastily. That is to say, thou art not to live lustfully. Do not give thyself excessively to it. Moderately, temperately art thou to perform the act. Perhaps otherwise is no avail and cometh pass that thou thinkest to find pleasure when thou givest thy excessively to pleasure. For already thou killest thyself, thou endangered thyself. The old men said as they left, as they went, leaving their commandments, thou art only a magay which they have sucked excessively. Be not so. The cape wet, the wash then tightly wrung, quickly drieth. Also thou art the same when thou have given thyself excessively to the carnal act. Not only act thou useless, but soon thou nasal mucus goeth hanging. Thou wilt go toothless, thou wilt go on hand and knees, thou wilt go pale. Behold, it is come to pass that the man who sees was in prison, a descriptive old man, white-headed, because he knew another woman. He committed adultery, and he was asked if it was possible that he still required the carnal act. He said that presently was aroused his desire for the carnal act, because in the time of his childhood, in the time of his youth, he looked not upon a woman now, nor did he everywhere know carnally. In the period of his virility, already in the time of his old age, then he went seeking the carnal act. Behold, here is yet a word or two. Let it inspire thee, that all may be thine measuring stick, thy model. Thou art to take all as an example as to how to live in purity on earth. In the time of the Lord Tonacaquauhtitlan, 2 old women were seized. They were white-headed. Their heads were like snow. It was as if they were wearing shredded maguey fibers. They were in prison because they had committed adultery, had betrayed their spouses, their old men. It was young priests, youths who had violated them. The ruler Tonacaquauhtitlan inquired of them. He said to them, "O our grandmother, listen. How do you feel? How do you perhaps still require the carnal act? Are ye not satisfied being as old as ye are? And how did you live while still in your girlhood? Just say it. Just tell me, since you are here for this reason." They said to him, "Master, ruler, our Lord, received it. Hear it. Ye men, ye are sluggish, ye are depleted, ye have ruined themselves impressively. It is all gone. There is no more. There is nothing to be desired. But of this, who are women, we are not the sluggish ones. In us is a cave, a gorge, whose only function is to await that which was given, whose only function is to receive. And of this is thou hast become impotent. If thou no longer arousest anything, then other purpose wilt thou serve. And this, O my son, will be very careful on earth. Live very calmly, very peacefully. Live not in filth. Do not live in filth on earth." Anyway, hope you enjoy that. Anyway, take care. Bye.